Very good evening and a very warm welcome, good evening, or welcome I should say, to everyone on this next in our live stream. This is Christopher Daigan coming to you from our home in KwaZulu-Natal on Saturday the 18th of March 2023. This is the next in our live stream series, and today's in concert session. I'm playing a program of classics. As always, Saturday evening is the classical program. And tonight I'm playing a really wonderful selection again of music, some pieces that I have played before, but I'm always interested to see, I do keep track of how long ago I played them, and it's been a while. Music by Rameau, Jean-Philippe Rameau, Beethoven Sonata, Opus 27, and as well as music by Schubert, Schumann at least, and then ending off with some Chopin for you. Very lovely selection. I hope you're going to be able to join me for the next while, either this evening if you're watching live or whenever you can. I'm going to start off, I'm going to launch straight into the program with Jean-Philippe Rameau. One of our supporters, Humphrey, mentioned the other day, just on Wednesday, that some of the pieces I was playing he was particularly fond of, and they were both composed for harpsichord, which is of course absolutely correct. The harpsichord being the instrument, the 18th century keyboard instrument that was European keyboard music was generally composed for. This is before the piano was invented by Mr. Bartolomeo Cristofori in 1702, and the harpsichord being an instrument somewhat like a piano, it looked like a piano, except the principal issue is instead of the keys striking a string, when you push the key down on the piano, a hammer strikes the string. On the harpsichord, when you push the key down, a little plectrum plucked to the string, so it was like a little guitar almost with keys on it. So that's a very brilliant, quite brittle sound, a metallic sound almost, you might say, that the harpsichord makes. The principal issue about it is that you can't actually change the sound of the instrument by the way that you touch it. So you can only change the distance, the speed between the notes, and that was the principal thing about the piano forte e piano, loud and soft, or soft and loud, an instrument that could play soft and loud merely by the way that you touch the keys, whereas the harpsichord cannot do that at all. Of course, someone who is desperate to make a little loud entrance is little Lucy. No, you can't come up loose. It's Saturday. You have to wait till the end. So this harpsichord music is Jean-Philippe Rameau's Gavotte, a court stately dancer gavotte, very stately, 2 beats in a bar, and six doublés or variations, very grand piece, but there's something very haunting and very wonderful to hear this melody repeated again and again with different ideas and different textures around it. grand music there, finale in that last moment, from the 18th century French Baroque composer Jean-Philippe Rameau and his Gavotte et Six Doublets. Very charming and interesting music there, written for the harpsichord. Okay, girls, everyone's desperate to come up. A quick moment. Yes, here's Wendy Pop. Hello, Wendy Pop. Yes. Quick moments, because it's Saturday and we're not allowed up until afterwards. Moving on, I'm going to then move on to music by Ludwig van Beethoven. It's rather warm this evening. I'm already working up quite a bit of heat here. Beethoven Sonata, Opus 27, number 1. This is the companion to the Moonlight Sonata. And like the Moonlight Sonata, this is a sonata quasi una fantasia, sonata as a fantasy. This is really one of my favorite of Beethoven sonatas. The reason why I think it is so unique and so appealing is that it gives us a sense of what I think Beethoven sounded like in his improvisations. I said when I played the Tempest Sonata a few weeks ago, there was something that was very sincere and something very real about Beethoven's temperament that came across in that music. And I think in this particular sonata, it really gives us a very interesting insight and lens into the improvisatory style of Beethoven's playing. He was well known for improvising, just making up music on the spot and really wowing his audiences. And the types of ideas I think that he would have improvised, it's interesting from a compositional point of view that often a piece of a musical idea that is so unique and so characterful in itself is often not the kind of idea that one can really find very useful in a compositional sense, if that makes sense. Some ideas are embryonic, in other words, they can give rise or give birth to many subsequent ideas, but other ideas are very unique, musically self-contained characteristics, I think, which I think is what you find a lot in this piece, which do not lend themselves to really developing into other things. And they're really like a selection of eggs in a box, or a selection of beautiful objects in themselves which might not necessarily relate so well to each other. And I think that's what this piece is really about. Sonata quasi una fantasia, a sonata as a fantasy, and he writes 4 movements that are linked directly into each other. And some of the movements are very simple. The first movement is just a very simple contrast between some slow repeated ideas and some very temperamental outbursts. The third movement is very long sustained line, and only in the fourth movement, which is, as I say, you come to without break, there's a lead in from one moment to another, is really the bulk of the sonata and the working out. It's a very exciting piece of music. I always enjoy playing it. It's going to be very exciting. Looking forward to playing it for you this evening. So this is the Sonata in E flat, Opus 27, number 1, Quasi una Fantasia by Ludwig van Beethoven. very abrupt ending there, but the improvisatory style, Beethoven really coming through, working through all these ideas back and forward, and then just throwing the whole effort away in those last moments. The Sonata Opus 27, number 1 in E flat, the companion to the Moonlight Sonata, both of them designated Sonata Quasi una Fantasia. Sonatas as a fantasy, implying a freedom of imagination and a freedom of ideas. Moving on from the music of Beethoven, gosh, this really is warm in here this evening, from Beethoven to the music of Robert Schumann. Leon, can I ask you just to move that fan ever so slightly this way, even if you angle it, just, I've got a feeling it's missing me completely, and on these lights, yes, Lucy, under these lights it's really catching up. Thank you very much. Robert Schumann's music, I'm going to play for you 3 pieces. I'm starting off with a novelette, a short story. Schumann wrote these pieces, 8 pieces, for his wife-to-be Clara Wieck. It was really at the point where they were about to be married, and he wrote to her and he said, in these pieces they all came to me so quickly, they came to me all in one, just flooding, music flooding forward. He said that he pictured in them wedding scenes, celebratory marriage scenes, bells ringing, so many jubilant and exuberant ideas. They're not Schumann's most regularly played pieces, but this first of the Noveletten, or short stories, is a very attractive piece, which I've played for many years, on and off. Straight after that, I'm going to play the first 2 numbers 1 and 2, from the Fantasiestücke pieces, also roughly around the same time. Fantasy pieces, very contrasting. In the first one, Des Abends, or at evening, Schumann writes this beautifully beguiling line with this contrasted notes. It's such a unique and unusual texture that I keep coming back to it again and again. It's quite complicated to actually produce accurately and with all the right detail, but when you do it, actually is magical. Very unique piece, and kind of nocturne in Schumann's own right. And then straight after that, another contrasted piece, Aufschwung, or soaring, really the contrast between the inner tender expression and the outer very dramatic and extrovert expression. These 2 pieces are some of Schumann's most favorites. So the lesser known Noveletten to start, and then 2 pieces, Des Abends and Aufschwung, all from Robert Schumann, for this evening's in concert session. Three pieces there by Robert Schumann. First of all, is a novelette, the first of the 8 novelette, opus 21, and then the first 2 pieces from his opus 12, Fantasiestücke des Abends at Evening and Soaring or Aufschwung. Very intense dramatic music there. We're going to end off this evening selection with 3 pieces by Frédéric Chopin. I'm going to start off with the beautiful nocturne, a very delicate nocturne, the very well-known and favorite nocturne in E-flat, opus 9, number 2. This is a unique little composition. It's probably one of Chopin's most famous melodies. And it also has a beautiful sweetness to it, which, due to its popularity, often pigeonholes Chopin somewhat as a light composer, sort of salon composer amongst, or used to, I think, amongst certain audiences. A popular piece like this can really be a trademark for a composer, and often the rest of their repertoire and music can be quite often ignored, and Chopin's music is very varied and very dramatic as well. But this little piece of music has this beautiful sweet melody. It's so charming. It's really very difficult mood to capture. Straight after that, I'm going to play the Etude, the first Etude from opus 25, a very beautiful rippling series of textures with this flute-like melody that soars over the top, and then ending this evening session with the famous Fantasy Impromptu, the celebrated Fantasy Impromptu, opus 66, a piece that Chopin withheld from composition, probably because he gave it as a private gift to the Baroness d'Este in a visitor's book, an autograph book that he wrote for her. And probably, I think, for good measure, if you give someone a personal gift, you don't really go and sell it then to everyone far and sundry. So only after his death was this piece then published for the very first time. It's a very beautiful composition, has a wonderful, expressive and quite dramatic first and third sections, but in the middle is this beautiful melody. And the real magic moment, and this brings me to a concert that I'm going to be playing, my live concert, which I'll be playing at the end of March, for those of you who are on KZN, is going to focus on some of the most beautiful piano music, but also I'm going to be trying to explain what elements in the music really makes it so unique, and why the technical background into what makes this music magical, why these pieces are so beautiful. And the beauty and one of the magical moments about this composition is this melody. Is right at the end of the moment, into the piece when it reaches a resolution and all the turbulence has died, it comes in the bass. Providing a very final resolution, and that is a stroke of genius and a really magical moment, so listen out for that. So the Nocturne in E-flat, the Waltz, Chopin Etude in A-flat, opus 25, and the Fantasy Impromptu for you. Ending off this evening's in concert session there on Saturday, the 18th of March. Nocturne in E flat, opus 9, number 2, and the Etude, opus 25, number 1. Beautiful music, all such very delightful, beautiful melodies, beautiful textures, beautiful harmonies, incredible repertoire of that composer. I think if there was one composer that I could live with entirely, it might actually be Chopin. It's such an incredible, wonderful balance between intellect and heart, imagination, such variety in that music. An incredible amount of music that he wrote. Brings us to the end of this evening's session. If you are watching and you're able to support me, or you would like to support me and you're not already, please do visit my website, musicrevival.co.za, for the donate page. You'll find a number of options to support me there, bank details, as well as sign up with PayFast for a monthly subscription. Thank you to Leon for the technical support once again. Thank you for your help this evening. Thank you all for coming along. I'm feeling like I'm going to be a little bit brave. I know I've been trying this Chopin Etude opus 10 number 1 for a number of times, but I think it would be a perfect end to this evening's program. Coming along, and we look forward to seeing you in 10 days or so for the next In Our Piano Hour session.